What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our review of season 3 of The Mandalorian. My name is Suge. I left the old thing up there. And I'm here with my buddy, Mr. J. How you doing, Mr. J? Doing well. Um, we are here reviewing Mandalorian season 3, episode 20, The Foundling. This was a really good episode. It was crazy. It was directed by Mr. Apollo Creed himself, Carl Weathers. If you did not know that, that is he directed this episode, and I think it was his debut. Not really sure, but I know it's his first time directing a Star Wars, any kind of Star Wars content, and I loved it. The visuals were great, the story was great, what it told, and we'll get into spoilers in a minute, but overall, I think this was a really good episode. Visually, um, there was some cool moments in this episode, with far as flying, as far as how the scenery was set, and there was also a really deep story, a backstory. We got flashbacks. We got forwards, moving the story forward. We got a lot here. There was a lot in this episode. Before we get into spoilers, Jay, overall, what was your thoughts on the episode, and how you felt about it going into it, from the last episode?
From the last episode, I didn't really know what to well, I but with the Boca Raton, I kind of knew we were going to see Boca, yeah, Boca Raton trying to get into her new home, her new creed, trying to follow back, to the way to where she kind of like swore off. But I knew she was going to be more kind of heavily involved um, before the show even started.
Yeah, for sure. And we're gonna get into spoilers right here. But if you watched our last video, we talked about it. Like it was like a renewal in faith that kind of came to her, and like I said in the last one, it almost changed her because if you go back to the first episode, she was very upset, mad, depressed. Everybody had left her. She didn't have the dark saber. She was alone. And then at one point, Din shows up. She's kind of irritated with him, and then she thinks he's coming back, and ends up being Grogu. She helps save him. She sees Din reciting the Mandalore Creed. And kind of feels, you know, a spiritual awakening in her. And then she sees the mythosaur, which more spiritual awakening in her, sort of. And then she gets accepted by the covert. That she said, like she said in the last episode, in that episode, she's like, I don't walk the way you guys do. But then the armor pointed out things. Well, you haven't taken your helmet off. You bathed in the waters, so yeah, you're right now you're one of us. And I forgot to mention when we talked about it in chapter 19, she even tells her, if you want to leave, you're more than welcome to go. You don't have to stay, but we want you here. You're appreciated here, and you're welcome here. And I think that kind of softened Bo up, you know. And she was like, okay, because we're going to see in this episode, she goes out of her way. She didn't have to do what she did in this episode, but she goes out of her way, and we'll get into spoilers here. So we start off. You see all the younglings, some of the older Mandalorians, all training, and that was dope because we had never seen this before. They're training. They're knife fighting, flying, blaster shooting, all this stuff. And you see some younglings training, and they're going at it, like straight up going at it, while being supervised. And then you see Grogu just chilling. He's just chilling. He's like, "Hey, I'm chilling." And Din grabs him. And was like, "All right, man, I want you to be a Mandalorian. You're gonna train." And we forget we see Grogu. We think, "Oh, he's a baby," but he's not. He's old, and he's gonna get older. So Din puts him there, and the one kid beats the other kid, and he goes, "All right, next challenger." And the kid's like, "Oh, he's too small, and why is he wearing a helmet?" And Din's like, "Well, he can't speak the creed yet, so he's not. That's why he doesn't wear the helmet. And just because he's so small doesn't mean he can't learn or fight." The kid that is responding is kind of being a smartass, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna take him out." You know, so before we get into that, what were your thoughts when you saw all the Mandalorian training, the younglings training? Like, what was your overall thoughts of that, and how did you see it?
I kind of saw it as like it's kind of how I said, if you remember in our first video, how Grogu needs to start doing more. This is kind of like what I was hoping for, and I'm glad. But when he phrases that kid, I don't know why this is so far fetched, or not far fetched, but not even with the same show. But I thought it looked like kind of Pikachu versus Charizard, because that's what it reminded me of. But yeah, but then we saw the father and son relationship continue. Grogu kind of looking uncertain, and he looks at then for confidence, for guidance, and then he's like, "Hey man, you can do this. Like I see what you can do. You're better than him. You're skilled. Just because you're small don't mean nothing." It's kind of like I feel that it was kind of like a message, to like smaller kids. Just because you're not the most athletic, you're not the fast, don't mean don't cut yourself out. Kind of like if you believe in the biblical stories, David and Goliath, don't cut
Yeah.
yourself out. There's always a way. There's always a chance. And now it will kind of caught me off guard. Now you see Katan kind of not being a mother, but kind of in a way.
Yeah,
But
well, that's what I was going to ask you. They're like, is she kind of taking the mother role for him?
she,
Because we've seen and when they were in the caves, she was talking to him. She's like, "Do you know how to use the Force?" And then like he gives her this look. He goes, hey, your dad ain't the only one that's a Mandalorian. Like I know what I'm doing." And she talks to him like she's talking to him like Den talks to him. Is she kind of taking that motherly role with him?
I kind of want to say yes, but here's my theory for down the road. I think they're gonna. Cause I don't think there's like a love interest yet. But I think that they're gonna get kind of close. But then again, I think the Darksaber is gonna split whatever feelings they had, and they're gonna go back to, hey man, it's just business.
It's just
But
business over
I think
here.
I think it's gonna develop, and then the producers are just gonna snatch it right back. Like, hey, you thought this was gonna be a love story.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a love story between them, but I do believe there's a parent love story with Grogu with Den and Bo because she puts
Yeah.
the thing on her and she's like, "Hey, your dad just wants you. He wants to just train you and he wants you to do good. Trust me, my dad did the same thing. He's just proud of you." And she's really being encouraging to him and talking to him and things like that. And and you're right. Grogu looks to Den for guidance. He gets shot twice. He's looking at him and Den tells him like, "Yo, you're a badass. You know what you can do. Just do it. It's okay." And then he does it, which was dope because he just flips, boom, 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 hits the kid 3 times. Oh, winner. And the kid kind of becomes sourpuss and he, gets all mad and walks away. Which I did not see this coming. I thought maybe it was gonna be something else. But he walks away and all of a sudden you see this big old dragon flying thing coming out of nowhere and it snatches that kid up. And I will say this. Star Wars, it's out there. There's crazy things happening. They're space wizards, all this stuff. There's no way that kid survives for that long. As long as it took him to go try to rescue them, that kid would have lasted like 10 seconds, and that bird would have ate him. So I'm just throwing it out there. But they try to chase him, and it answers a question: how long does a Mandalorian jetpack last? Well, I tell you, it's not long. Because they don't have a lot of fuel. So they run out of fuel. But then you see Bo, like I said, Bo kind of like is taking this, like the Mandalorian creed to heart now because all of a sudden they all land and they're like, shit, he's getting away. And all of a sudden you see Bo come out of nowhere with her ship and she's falling, which was a dope visual. Like you see the big old dragon flying and she's behind her with the ship with the sunset. And it just ends like that. And that was beautiful. I love the way they framed that. But she goes after it. She comes back. She says, "Okay, I followed it to its lair. I know where it's at. We should get people together and go try to get him." And I'm thinking, the kid's dead. He's barbecue. He's done. He's a bucket of chicken. He is gone. I don't know why you're even gonna go get the kid, but they're like, "No, he's still alive." Okay, you find out that that's part of Vizsla's son, Ragnar. So it's his son. So they say, okay, we're gonna go get them. So they get a party together. They fly the ship. Um, they put the ship down. They say they can't use the jetpacks and blasters because they don't want to kill the kid. They don't want to hurt the kid. They can't use jetpacks because the thing will hear them. So they walk. So they walk. Boom. They get there. She shows them where it's at, but they say it's nighttime. Why don't we camp here and then we'll climb it early in the morning? And I'm thinking, I don't know why you're doing it. The kid's already dead. There's no way he survived this long, but they decide to do it. And it brings up an interesting point because again, Bo's in this weird situation where she didn't walk the way before, and now she is, and she's kind of going along with it. And they're handing out food, and she says, "Well, how do you eat with the helmet?" And they say, "Oh, everyone goes away from each other. You find a spot, you take your helmet off, and you eat, and you come back." And she's like, "All right." And then Vizsla tells her, like, "No, you're the hunting party leader. You get to sit by the fire and eat." And she takes her helmet off and she's kind of looking around. And it's like, I think it's just a new situation from her because she came from where, oh, we take our helmet off, we don't care. And now she's kind of going along with it. Like, nope, I got to keep my helmet on. Nope, I need to go by the creed. What is your overall thoughts on where she's at right now, as far as being a part of this covert and being a part and doing the Mandalorian creed as is when she was talking bad about it in previous episodes and seasons.
It's good that she's going along, with it. But in the back of my head, I hope and I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like she's gonna pull a King where it's like she builds all this trust, and then at the very very last moment she turns on not the Creed and the engine for the dark saber. I hope not. I hope this is wholesome. I hope this leads down a new road. No, for the Creed, for her. Because right now it's beautiful. Like, everybody loves her. They love how she's leading. She's learning stuff. I didn't even know that. Like, hey, like how they ate. Like, I kind of assumed, but they didn't really show it on screen. Like, oh, just no, we're not dummies here. Like, we know you need to eat. Take your helmet off somewhere else where people can't see you. Then eat. I'm like, oh, okay, that kind of confirms it. Like, it's not that serious. I'm thinking in the back of my head before this pops up, like, oh, they just don't take their helmets off. They just drink protein shakes underneath their
straw.
Okay, so you do take your helmet off to eat, to breathe, to go to sleep. Okay, that kind of reassures me. So I'm glad that happened on screen. But I'm glad Bo-Katan is seen as already seen as a leader. Like, hey, even though the big dude who kind of like was like, oh, y'all don't belong here, kind of accepts her as right now as an equal, but right now that, hey, you're the boss, you're the leader. We don't know where we're going. Guide us.
Yeah, at least he's loyal. At least he's loyal though. He's like he called her fake, and then he was like, he's like, no, wait a minute, you. She says you're good. All right, you're good. I got your back.
Armor says you're good. By creed, by ancestral transition, I gotta shut the hell up and agree with her because I think we need to see an episode about the armorer too because we don't really know a lot about her. We know everybody who follows her word. Like, her word is pretty much law.
With no hesitation, do they not? Yeah. They follow everything, and she's badass.
Everybody.
Yeah, and I was gonna bring up, in this episode, we're talking about Bo being motherly to Grogu. The armor starts to kind of be motherly, or even like grandmotherly to him.
Yeah, grandmotherly. She was motherly to Jin, or then and then to everybody else, she's pretty much like, hey, I got
mother. You. Yeah, but now she's kind of being the grandmother to him because they take off, and she's like, "Come on, Grogu, we got work to do. You want to be a Mandalorian? Let's go." And then you're like, oh, "Okay,
hey, you keep me."
Yeah, and you're like, kind of like, oh, okay, like she accepts him.
Yeah,
and she takes him into the armory and she starts forging something for him, and she's talking to him and she's telling him, what it means to be a Mandalorian, what it shapes us, and this and that, and we start to get a glimpse of Grogu's past, and we're sitting there because we have seen this. What Mandalorian does really well is their flashbacks. Mm-hmm. They'll give us a little part of it, and then they'll they'll expand upon it later. Um, we saw that with Din and who saved him, and we see it here because we've seen this flashback, but not all the way through. Grogu's at the temple. Order 66 is going on, and you're like, okay, well, who saved him? How did he get out? How did he get out? And you see him that he ends up in a elevator, and the elevator opens. Now people were spectating. Was it going to be Mace Windu? Was it going to be Obi-Wan? Was it going to be Ahsoka? Was it who was it going to be to save him? And it ends up being Kelleran Beck. And you're like, well, who's that? Which is a Jedi I think they've made for the Mandalorian, but it's the person who played him, which was important. And that person is Jar Jar Binks, the actor that played Jar Jar Binks. Now, people were speculating, is Jar Jar Binks the one that saved him from Order 66? And technically, yes. the actor saved him, but not the character. Right. But the actor saved him. And, we might go a little long here because it gets into a discussion. We know Star Wars fans have always been very hard on certain things when they don't like something. We saw it with the child actor that played Anakin. We saw it with the girl that played the new character in the sequels, Rose. They attacked her. They attacked the person that was playing in Obi-Wan. I forgot her name. I forgot the character's name, but they went after her. And being very hateful, very vile. Things like that, and the actor that played Jar Jar Binks, and that happened to him. That happened to him. They attacked him, and it's one of those things. I've never really watched any kind of a interview with him if he ever said he was never coming back to Star Wars or anything like that. But he did. I had seen some stuff where he talked about being attacked because of the role he played as Jar Jar Binks, and it's just an unfair thing. Right. I think Star Wars fans need to do better. It was just an unfair thing. And it basically gave him like redemption, as an actor, that they put him as a Jedi, and so Kelleran Beck saves Grogu, and you find out that this Jedi is really strong. He's able to wield 2 lightsabers. He's able to still use the Force. He can use the Force with just 2 fingers. Because somebody was complaining about that, like, oh, how can he hold a lightsaber and use the Force at the same time? Well, if you go look it up, he's so strong in the Force that he actually doesn't need his whole hand. He can just do it with 2 fingers.
Like we see the Force, like Yoda and Obi-Wan, and even Anakin. Like,
he was very strong within the Force. Yeah. And so we have this dope chase scene that of trying to get away from the temple with Grogu, and he gets to a platform, and it's a Naboo ship, which is very interesting. So did Grogu go to Naboo, or did he hang out with? This is during Order 66. So Padme was still on the planet. Where did he go? Things like that. And they get away. But this is like a flashback, and you can see it in Grogu's eyes. He's holding on to that trauma. I think that's what that was symbolizing, that he's holding on to that trauma because he saw what happened to people that were like him as far as Force users, and they got killed. And so he's afraid to use the Force and things like that. As far as Kelleran Beck, what were your thoughts? Did you know it was Jar Jar Binks, the actor to play Jar Jar Binks? Or what were you expecting? Were you expecting somebody else? Were you hoping for somebody else? Or were you perfectly fine with this cameo being introduced?
Yeah, I was fine. Yeah, I was fine with it. Because I kind of saw it on, I guess, Twitter. I guess the Twitter Mandalorian Twitter page, whatever. I saw his face, and then I'm thinking like I know this somewhere. And then I did a little research. I'm like, oh, he played. That's what I know him for. He played like Jar Jar Binks, and then like read his like you just said. I read his backstory and how he like those comments always like his funny voice because like what now beloved Jar Jar Binks, his voice or he got bashed on like he almost led him to suicide. I'm like, man, that sucks.
That's
like,
crazy. Yeah.
Come to that like and Jar Jar is so beloved. He was beloved in the movies, beloved in the Clone Wars, and other cameos. But to see the voice actor kind of like used as a Jedi, a very skillful Jedi, to where like like you said, dual sabers. I could use 2 fingers. You don't want to see what I can do with my whole hand.
Right.
Yeah, but it was a nice moment. It was a nice moment, and to think to just on topic of this, they almost did that to the character who played. I want to say his name was Finn in the movies, the one that was beside what's her name, Ray.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he almost got credit.
John Boyega.
Yeah.
Boyega.
Yeah, he almost not as much, but for some reason he got the same backlash. I'm like, yo, what's wrong with y'all? Like, he's doing like the movie. He was great.
Yeah, it's a weird thing with Star Wars fans. And this is kind of going off topic, but it's a weird thing of Star Wars. Like, they have a lore, because what you got to understand is, and I know we're the age difference between you and me was Star Wars came out. There was no sequels or prequels,
Right.
and people took the media, took the stories and expanded upon them, which is the older books. And then George Lucas came out with the prequels. And so even though the prequels weren't loved back then, later on people expanded upon that stuff. So they were taking their ideas and expanding them. So when we had heard there was a new movie of Star Wars coming out, people thought they were going to take those ideas that people expanded upon and use those to expand the story. And because they didn't, people were upset. Not understanding that, granted, you expanded upon all this stuff, but that's not the story we want to tell. We want to tell a different story. Because I remember when Force Awakens was announced, my theory was, oh, we're going to see the twins, because the books that proceeded after Return of the Jedi, Leia and Han have twins. They have a pair of twins, and they go on adventures and things happen, and they're trained by Luke to become Jedis. So that's what we thought. Like I remember it was talking to somebody. There's like a leak. Someone had leaked a script that's what it was the twins were going to come into play, and they were going to, and all this stuff. And then it was completely not that. It was what Disney did. And so people are protective, overly protective, because they think, oh, why aren't you using these stories that we already had set up? When Disney's like, no, we're going to do our thing. We're going to come up with the stories. And because they did that, what Disney did, which made a lot of Star Wars fans upset, is they said, okay, these are our stories that we're going to start doing. All that stuff is not canon. And it pissed a lot of fans off, because they were like, wait a minute. All this stuff, all these video games, books, comics, everything, oh, it's not canon anymore. None of that's canon. That's just fan fiction now. And it pissed a lot of people off. So they kind of take it out on the actors. They kind of take it on anything that they don't like. They take it out on them now. They're like, oh, we didn't like you, Finn. So guess what? You shouldn't be a part of Star Wars because we didn't like the way you did it. We didn't like you, Jar Jar Binks. So we're gonna be an asshole to you. The child that played Anakin in episode 1, he left acting because he got bullied, because they didn't like the way Christian Hayden, who played Anakin, after that was treated horribly by Star Wars fans. Just recently, when he came back for Obi-Wan, that people started appreciating him. That people started giving him the love that he deserves.
I didn't know that.
As fans, why did you do that? If you didn't like the way he portrayed something, you should have just said, I just don't like it. They went after this man. Hardcore went after him. And now all of a sudden, oh, now we love him.
All right.
You don't think he don't think about that? How you guys treated him? Yeah. How fans treated him? It's the same for John Boyega. John Boyega just came out and said, I don't want to do Star Wars ever again. Why? Because fans didn't get their way. And that's one thing I've always struggled with fans when it comes to fandoms. So you don't get your way. Now you're going to treat someone that likes something, you're going to treat them bad. You're going to treat them like crap. Or you're going to treat the actor like crap because you didn't like the way they portrayed something, because you didn't like it. And then that's a problem for me. I don't like that. But we went off on a tangent. So it goes back to Grogu. We go back to Bo. They climb the rock. They get in there. You end up finding out that the dragon bird, whatever you want to call it, has babies. The dragon rolls up and you're like, "Where's the kid?" He starts spitting the kid out. So I thought he was gonna just spit out a body and it was dead, but the kid's somehow still alive after a day. Spits the kid up, and the dad goes after him, and the bird takes him and it has the kid, and they're doing this again. Beautiful, beautiful cinematography of them flying with the jetpacks, things like that, and they're trying to rescue the kid, and they eventually do. But Bo loses one of her pieces of armor, and they get the kid back, and it was a Jurassic Park moment. And first episode moment where the bird falls in the water, and all of a sudden the big alligator that we saw a couple episodes ago gets the dragon. Boom, gets it, kills it. And we go back to the armor room, and Bo shows up with her ship, and they all come out, and they show that they have the kid. Everyone's celebrating, yay! And then she goes, and the armor tells her, like, you just did the highest thing that you could do, and you saved the foundling, you know, and we appreciate you and all this stuff. And then she brings the three dragon babies out, and she's like, so now we're gonna teach these things, and we're gonna ride them, and they're gonna become our part of our covert, you know. And so the armorer tells Bo, like, hey, you lost your thing. I'm gonna make you a new one. She's like, okay, cool. So again, like, what I like about the Mandalorian is you think it's over, but then they kind of expand upon it. So she's in there with the armor, and she starts to make her thing, and she tells Bo, like, do you want me to put the night I believe it's the night owl thing on her arm? And she goes, well, wait a minute, what about the mythosaur? And she's like, oh, well, the mythosaur everybody can have, because that's our mythical animal that represents us. So anybody can wear that. That's not just, to certain people. You can wear both. And she's like, okay, I would like that. And then you're thinking, okay, is she going to tell her, or is she going to tell anybody what she saw? And then right away, boom, she's like, what if I told you I saw the mythosaur? And she's like, well, yeah. If you saw her in a vision, that's good. And she's like, no, not a vision. I literally saw it's in the water. And she's like, okay, that's cool. And she's like, no, seriously, it was real. And it's like you're telling your parents something. She was like, no, that's cool. Yeah. If you think you saw it, cool. Yeah, sure, whatever. She's like, no, I saw it. And the armor, she doesn't even say anything. She just goes, this is the way. And even in a couple episodes, and in this episode and the episode before, Bo's saying that now. She's like, this is the way. And she's really digging deep into being a part of this covert, being a part of the old school Mandalorian ways. What are your overall thoughts on? I mean, if you want to talk about the action scene, if you want to talk about Bo and the armor talking, like, what overall thoughts of that last part of the episode? What did you think?
I thought they didn't. Was it trying to kill the dragon bird thing? They just wanted the foundling back, because they were kind of shoot their grappling thing around his legs, or just trying to get it free. They didn't mean for that bird or the dragon, whatever you want to call it, I don't know, to fall into water to get eaten. That was not their intention at all. It was kind of cool that they, like I said, they brought the three babies back. Cause like, look, we're not going to leave them starve out here, because that's not the way. We care about our own so much that we respect all living creatures. Just don't mess with our foundlings, because again, Armor said, "Hey, that's the highest honor. Like, you mess with our foundlings, you mess with everybody." And I thought that was pretty cool. And then what happens next? Yeah, with the mythosaur, I felt like them saying this is the way, kind of like, hey, in a discussion, like, hey, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing else about it. But I feel like to them, that's like their exclamation point, their period. The hey, let's cut it right here.
Yeah.
Can you see like you see it like you see it in her ship, where she was like, hey, you want to get something to eat, or whatever? I'll come to a buffet afterwards. And you have to take your helmet off, and then kind of looks at her like, damn well I'm not about to do that. And then and then he said, like, this is the way, and this she says it back, like, hey, stop, this the last we're gonna hear about this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And I Jay's kid's getting excited about all this too. But yeah, no, I don't know, the armor. I kind of feel like the armor is like kind of pushing Bo to be like, yo, I want you to, we accept you and everything, but I want you to almost find your way to us. So if you saw the mythosaur, what are you gonna do about it? You know, like she's trying to like guide her, but not push her. Like she's trying to let her naturally come in. Like everything is natural. It's not like we're forcing you to do it. Um, so I thought that was very interesting. Now I don't know where we're gonna go with next. The next chapter, they don't have a name for it yet. Um, but where do they go from here? Do they go back to Mandalore and try to get the mythosaur? Um, are we gonna see where the episode before, was about the doctor. Are we going to go back to visit that storyline? Like where we like I don't know where we're going with this now. It's like where do we go? Um, I think I'm excited because I want to see where we go. I want to see what happens. I want to see Grogu. Like, do we time jump here? That would be interesting. Do we time jump and Grogu has become more skilled and Bo and them are chilling, or is Bo, like you said, is Bo going to take off and go do her own thing? Her castle's destroyed. She doesn't have anything now. She's kind of just stuck. So what is she gonna do now? Is she gonna be like, all right, cool, we're gonna chill with I'm gonna chill with you guys, or is she gonna be like, I need to go figure out my life now. So where do we go from here? Where do you think we go from here as far as storyline?
Um, I honestly don't know. Like, I know I come up with all these theories, but this is like first time where it's like I don't even know. Like they show Kane, they show us Bo Katan, get introduced with this creed. It can go anywhere. We see Grogu finally kind of like letting go, using those train darts, and this you see why he's kind of like holding back using the Force.
Yeah.
Because like you said before, he sees like other people like him just getting slaughtered, and I guess he's afraid of using it because maybe he'll get slaughtered. But then you see the words of Din and Bo-Katan kind of encouraging him, and it's bringing his skills out because that backflip stuff that he did. I was like, where did this come from? You can do this
Right.
the whole time. Wait a minute.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Like I don't know where this is going, and that's the excitement about it. It's I'm just kind of like the non. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm excited at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah, it's not predictable. Like it's just not predictable, and we don't know where it's going. I'm excited for it. I think again, like I said, I have thoughts. I think we might get a time jump here, personally, because like where's Bo gonna go? Where's everybody? So do we see a time jump where Bo and Din are doing jobs to earn more best or earn money for the covert, and Goku's training, or is it going to just go straight to the next thing, like whatever it is, whatever the next thing is. Like I said, we the doctor and Kane is a big like that just didn't happen. It's not coincidence that they showed that, and then now they're not gonna. We're not going to come back to that storyline. Like I think we're going to come to it, whether it's going to be in 5, 6, 7, or 8. I'm not sure, but I think that's going to play an important part. I think, like I said, I would like to see a time jump and see Grogu grow as a Mandalorian and kind of take shape. But we'll see what happens. So, I'm excited for it. I can't wait, and it's going to be pretty cool to see what happens, especially where we go from here. But with that, Mr. J, before we get out of here, any final thoughts on this episode? Anything you want to see going forward, or any predictions that you have?
Going forward, kind of like a theory of mine. I think Grogu is going to be the bridge between Jedi and Mandalorian because he has the Force. He knows how to use the Force, but now he's about to learn how to fight, how to think, how to navigate like a true Mandalorian. And I don't know. I don't know if he's going to need all that, but I feel like I actually no. Like I said in our first review. I think he's gonna end up doing something with the dark saber, and like in another video, something to do with riding the mythosaur. Because like again, I think it's gonna come back to that force link thing with the like Ezra with the whales. Like I really do.
Yeah, where he said he's got to make a force connection with the mythosaur to tame it or get its trust. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm excited. Again, I'm excited to see what happens from this point on. And can't wait. And we will be back with episode 21. So make sure to hit that notification bell, like, comment. Let us know what you think. If you think we got something wrong, if you think we got something right, or you have a different opinion, let us know. We would love to hear from you. For myself and Mr. J, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the night.